Hi friends, it's Mari from Mari Harai Archives, and today I am super excited to, show you a glimpse of how I do my holiday planning for the year. Now, this is probably the most I plan each year that is very specific, but this right here involves a lot of pre-planning and looking over what we did last year, and also kind of refining my process, and it kind of helps me determine how Christmas or the holidays will look this year. And I'm excited. So to kind of summarize this system, I've been doing it since 2021, 2022, and it kind of evolved because I was getting really overwhelmed with just the holiday things. When I'm talking about like dinners to buying presents to wrapping presents, the planning part of like our advent calendars and just all of that, and also budget. I feel like this system that I'm using now has helped me kind of stay on track. Now, it's not perfect. I'm not saying that we always stay on budget, but it definitely helps me not overspend, because I have overspent. But every year that I do this, I try to be better and a little bit more intentional about how we approach the holidays, because I feel like it's the biggest budget, or I won't say biggest budget, but it's the time of the year where we spend the most money on things that we normally don't spend on, if that makes sense. Like for dinner, like we usually don't spend that much for dinner every day, but during the holidays, it's a lot more. And of course, we talk about like gifts and activities and all that. So financially, this was also the reason why I decided to start doing it this way. And another thing too is that for many years, although, the holidays is my favorite time of year, this is my jam. But, when the kids were younger, until they were, in their teens, it was really overwhelming for me because I feel like I wasn't present during the holidays, because my brain was scattered all over the place trying to do this and that. And so this whole system for myself came in because I just wanted to be able to do the things that I planned with my family, instead of planning it at that time and just watching them do things, because I'm too exhausted to like not want to do anything. And so this is the reason why I kind of came up with this system for myself. So when the time comes to enjoy the festivities, I don't have to think about anything. Like I literally can be present with my family, and I can participate and do the things that I love planning for and doing with my family. What I want to show you first is how I used to plan. Now, you don't have to do it in a Hobonichi weeks. This just seems to be my favorite planner to document my days and plan the holidays in, because I just like having it in this book. You could do it in a notebook, which I've done prior. You could do it on a scrap piece of paper, on a notebook, a sticky note, whatever you have available. So by all means, this isn't some fancy system that you have to buy a fancy notebook for. It literally is just dumping your plans on a piece of paper and then just kind of doing a recap summary, so your future you can look back on and kind of like, okay, this is what we did last year. This is what we're going to do this year. So I just wanted to say that. So I want to show you how I used to plan it, and and go from there. So like I had mentioned, you don't have to do it on like any fancy notebook or anything, but what I used to do, this was back in 2022. What I used to do is I would just kind of jot down my plans for the holidays. And at this point, it's not as well tuned as it is now, because this was kind of like the first renderings of this plan, but it was a start for me to like kind of slow down and figure out, okay, what's important to us when it comes to the holidays. And so this is how it kind of looked for me. Let's see. Oh, by the way, this is a Traveler's Company spiral notebook. It is in the A6 slim size. This is one of my favorite notebooks to use. I use this for my catch-all for just random information, bits of information. And so this has been an ongoing notebook that I've had since 2022, and I'm just about almost done with this notebook. So this just shows you that you don't have to buy a notebook every single year. It is okay for it to overlap year after year. And like I said, this I started back in 2022 and it's 2025, and I think I have a handful of pages on here. But so basically this is what I use to kind of document or plan the holidays. And at first what I used to do was I would just kind of list down the presents or the gifts that I want to get for people, and it's just my family, and we are a family of 5. And so before, what I used to do was I would just kind of list down what I wanted to buy and purchase, and that was basically kind of the extent of it. And then just kind of listing what we want for Thanksgiving, what our dinner would look like, any activities that we were thinking of doing that I need to do, a grocery list, and that is probably the extent of it. And so it wasn't very structured, but it was a start. And as the years went by, I got a little bit more, I tightened up a little bit to where I was like, okay, let me plan this out a little bit more advanced on what we're going to have and what activities we were going to have, and then go from there. And so as you can see, I just kind of like did my to-dos, the activities, and it was just all right here on this notebook. Now fast forward, like here we had like our Christmas stuff, what we needed to buy, just a running to-do list. Now as the years went by, I was a little bit better about having to plan all of that stuff. And so this is where now this is a 2024, and I think like a lot of the things in my journaling and planning for the Hobonichi weeks kind of clicked in this notebook, and which is why I really, really love it. This is the time where I was like, okay, you know what? I can actually plan this out a little bit more advanced and be able to purchase things. And this is, I want to say like the 2023, 2024 season is when I actually started putting timelines on when I purchase and do our items. And so a lot of the time, or now, I actually think about the holidays in October. I have deadlines of when things need to be done. This kind of helps me stay ahead of the game, because I know things can get really chaotic once the holiday starts. Winter comes along, sometimes I'm not in the mood or I'm just low energy and things, So I kind of do this because I know myself. And so like I like to pre-plan and do this in advance. And so this is where it really came in handy when it came with my Hobonichi weeks. And it kind of started out with that. So in 2024, what I actually did was, for my monthlies, I actually used it to kind of track our media that we were consuming, meaning like TV shows and movies. And I decided that I was going to do that for our advent calendar activities. Now, the one thing that is very, very important to us as a family is our advent calendar activities. We've had this tradition that we started for our family well, not long time ago. I mean, I remember my first advent calendar was when I was a little girl, and I only got one. And that one advent calendar really, for some reason, just was magical. It was just a little chocolate advent calendar. And ever since that, it's always been like my goal to have an advent calendar tradition. So when me and my husband got married, and we had our first child, that's when I started our family tradition, but more on that later. I just want to just show you how I went ahead and decided how to plan that out. I decided to use my Hobonichi weeks to plan out those activities. And so that is what I used for this one. And then I actually also used the January, because usually the Hobonichi weeks has the next year's month of January. And I don't use it for anything. So what I ended up using it for was to kind of help me do or plan out the different activities and games that we're having, and kind of just be a running list of what I need. And having this kind of system allowed me to kind of organize everything, and I knew like what I needed to buy. And every year kind of looks different for us. We do have main things that we absolutely have to do for the holidays, and then we sprinkle in different activities to make it fun and different for the family. And I'll explain more about that later on in this video. But having this system in my Hobonichi weeks kind of allowed me to be a little bit more organized. So this was kind of like the first year that I actually did it in the Hobonichi weeks. So I knew in 2025 that I was going to implement the same thing. But now that I've gotten that, it was kind of when I had set up my 2025 planner, I made sure that there was a spot for the holiday planning, and I'll show that to you in a second. And so this is basically what I use that part for. And then the back pages, you know, I use it as a journal, but it was kind of a way for me to like journal about the different dinners we had, the different recipes we did, what we got for Christmas, and so forth. But one thing that I want to make note that has helped me transition from here to here and allow me to kind of prepare for this year's is that I did like a holiday recap. Like I never did that before, but this holiday recap has helped me kind of, because I do forget, like I forget. And this is the reason why I do this for myself, is because I want to be able to look back and kind of see what we did. And then it'll allow me to plan better for the next year. And so in October, November timeframe right now, this is the time that I'm planning for 2025 and writing things down. And so here, what I had said to myself is that, you know, I want to start early as possible. And I didn't give myself like a deadline, like I have to start this date, but I knew as soon as I'm able to start that I should start. And then one thing too I wrote here was like, I want to finish everything by the week of Thanksgiving, meaning I have everything planned, purchased, decorations up, all of that stuff by the week of Thanksgiving. Because by Thanksgiving, all I have to do, and me and my husband, is just to cook dinner. And then after that, it's just kind of smooth sailing for us, where we don't have to think about anything as far as what we need to buy, who we're going to buy it for, the activities that we need, the prizes for those activities, and so forth. And so that is pretty much kind of a strict deadline that I keep for myself. And then I put advent calendar ideas. This is kind of to jog my memory that, hey, you need to find advent calendar ideas. And then just little things that we do every year, like we do a gingerbread house. I said make sure we get the Thanksgiving menu and Christmas Eve menu done. And then I just kind of listed like the main things that we always have to have. We do have a Christmas Eve box, and then I just kind of reminded myself, make sure it's just things that they need, and money, because my kids are grown, they're in their teens, and I have an adult child, so it's a little bit easier this year, kind of. And then I had listed any Advent Christmas Eve family games, the prizes for games if we're doing it. Something new that we did last year was do a Lego build, and that's I'll talk more about that later on this video when I kind of break down the different things that we do. Maybe to give you some ideas on what you guys can do for your holidays. But this right here, it was just a great way for me to summarize the things that we did and what I should look out for next year, and to kind of ground myself and to give me pointers for my future self on what you need to do next year. So this is the reason why I love doing it this way in my planner, in my Hobonichi weeks, is because it gives me like a structured system to do that. And so as you can see, that's pretty much all right here for 2024. Now we're gonna actually do 2025 together to the extent, because the Advent calendar activities, that's something that me and my husband do together. We sit down and we actually go over what we did last year, which is on this calendar, and we kind of look at that. And also this helps us because it kind of allows us to see, okay, this is what we did, and then we look at our budget, what can we do this year, and so forth. And so that's the reason why I'm so happy that this is how I do my planning when it comes to all the festivities, because I can look back and do that, be like, okay, this is what we did, and we always add something new. So yeah. So what I always end up doing for when I set up my 2025 is that I always set up for my monthly calendar. This is for 2025. I use it to track our dinners each day. And so for the month of December, obviously I've kept that for the month of December, right? Because I'm still going to track our dinners for December. But what I ended up doing was for the January for 2026 calendar, what I ended up doing was I just redated it for December 2026, because this is going to be the spot that I'm going to use for our Advent calendar. And so what I like to do also is for November is when I start kind of brainstorming our dinners and what we want. And so I will put down a tentative Thanksgiving menu, as well as December. I will put right here, I've already set it up for our Christmas Eve dinner, our New Year's Eve dinner. And so I'll be filling that out sometime this week to finalize it. But our Thanksgiving menu is pretty much finalized. And I like to, like I said, I start kind of thinking about that in October. And it's not like set in stone. Me and my husband will kind of talk about and be like, what should we have for Thanksgiving dinner? And we just throw out ideas and stuff like that. And then I will write it down here just so we don't forget. And then I just cross out what we decided not to do. And then I do end up finalizing it. Well, we end up finalizing it. And so doing it this way, like I said, it gives me a little bit more structure. And then, like I said, for Christmas dinner and New Year's Eve dinner, that's the same thing. We will be talking about that this week and writing down our plans for that and kind of pricing it out and making sure that, okay, if it's going to fit in our budget, or we're going to make it fit in our budget. Because that's one thing that we also do is that every month we set aside money that we're going to use strictly for the holidays. And then as we start buying things, even if it's throughout the year, if we start buying gifts throughout the year, the money for those gifts come from that holiday fund. And so when we're shopping for ingredients for dinner, again, we just kind of pull it out of that holiday fund. And then, like I said, I like to create the Advent calendar activity here. And then what I also do is in the back pages, and usually what I decided to do this year was do it in the November, my journaling pages, the November, just because it's, right there. And so what I do is I just create a list once me and my husband have talked about, you know, what we're going to do for Thanksgiving. Then I start writing the list, how much it's going to cost. And then this is where I start doing our Christmas stuff. And this is where I kind of jot down like our ideas, what we're planning on doing, and then check marking once we've taken that off the list. Now, I'll go more into detail that way, but I just kind of wanted to show you the structure of how I do it in my planner. And then I will kind of explain and break down what we do as a family and how our holidays look like. And I mean, it's just maybe you can take something from it or you can get ideas from it, but I'll share those later on. And so that is how basically I use my planner to holiday plan. And I also do like to have a page of things that I like, that I want, or ideas that I want to get. This year, I didn't do it for gifts for other people this time. I kind of wanted to wait this year a little bit later because my kids are a little bit older, and it's not as easy to just get whatever. I feel like for this year, I just want it. I mean, every year it's always catered to like their personality and what they're into, but more so this year as we get better at planning, and then, you know, we have this data and just kind of understanding what we did last year, it kind of helps us think about the gifts that we are going to give our kids. And so, but yeah, so basically this is how I holiday plan in my Hobonichi weeks. And then what I'm going to do is I will show you for 2026. Now I am in a Hobonichi A6 Techo for 2026, which I'm really, really excited about. Now I'm not going to show you how I'm going to plan or set up the whole 2026. That'll be a whole different video, but I do want to show you what I will be doing for the holiday season. And so what I like to do is I like to go into, so we got November, December. So here we are for December. We're going to keep as is, and usually they have January. So yes, so what I like to do here is I will actually redate this for December 2026, and this will hold our 2026 Advent calendar activities. But I'm going to mark this because this is what I'm going to do. And then for now, because this isn't like the Hobonichi weeks where I have like the weekly pages, I do have a set amount of blank pages in the back. Let's see. It's been a while since I used the A6 Techo, and so there's a lot of new pages that I haven't seen before. So yeah, okay. So what I want to do here is I'm going to make sure for this one, I don't have any sticky notes. I'll use this. For this page, I'm actually going to do, I'm going to leave this blank because I want to do a recap, and actually maybe I should do it at the end pages. Yeah, let's do it at the end pages. So here I'm going to add a running list, and oh, I went to a art supply shop here locally, and they had these cute mini Pilot G2s. I've never seen these before, and I was very smitten by it because I love everything mini, and so I bought all the colors. Why? I don't know. They were like $2 each, but they're so fun, and of course I love the different colors because I like to journal in different colors. But for this page, I want to actually, I'll just write it down in pencil. So this, I'm going to do a running list for gifts and ideas for the season. So this is what this page is going to be. And then I'm going to use this whole page for my holiday to-do list. So the holiday to-do list, meaning this is where I'm going to write down the things I need to buy and I will check it off. And then I'm going to leave like 2 in case I need the space. And then on here, I'm going to do the menus, the holiday menus. And that involves Thanksgiving dinner, Christmas, and New Year's. Yes. And so I am preparing those. I will prepare those pages once I start doing my 2026 setup, which would be probably in a couple of weeks, probably in the first 2 weeks of December, when we have a little bit of downtime. And so that's going to be done. Or I actually might do it next week before Thanksgiving if I have enough time, and I have enough time after we do everything. But yeah, so I'm going to do like the holiday menus here, the holiday to-do list, and then this is going to be kind of my running list of my gifts and ideas throughout the year. And then that's pretty much it on how I plan for the holidays for 2026. We have our December 2025 Advent calendar activities. And yeah, that is pretty much it. I mean, super, super simple. And like I said, I like to keep things simple. But I guess let's go into talk about the whole system in general from start to finish. Okay, first off, a lot of the parameters that I set for myself to do my holiday planning is 1, to save money every month. It's part of our budget. We make sure we set money aside every year, and it changes every year depending on our expenses throughout the year. But my goal is to try to have at least put in like $200 a month. That way we have a little bit, about $1,200 by the time December comes around. Now, sometimes it'll fluctuate, just depends on our budget, but at least $100 to kind of set up that fund. So that's the first thing we do. And then the second thing is to create parameters of when I like to get things done by. Now, these dates kind of came about each year. Like, I've learned a little bit more than the prior year on how to get things done. And I feel like 2025 will kind of be the best year yet when it comes to preparing, because I've practiced and learned things and done things in the years prior. And so I kind of know where I need to be flexible, where I don't need to be flexible, where I need to spend, where I don't need to spend anymore. And so I feel like 2025 is a great year for that. And then 2026 will be even better. And so one thing that I like to do is to set a time frame. In my case, I make sure that I get everything done by the week of Thanksgiving. And I think that's a hard date, or not hard date, but it is a strict date for me. I don't want to do anything past Thanksgiving. The only thing that I want to worry about for Thanksgiving is just cooking the meal. Everything beyond that, everything's already bought, everything's already set, everything. And so all me and my husband have to do is just kind of relax, be present with our kids, and do activities with them. So this is the reason why, we set that strict date. Everything is done by the week of Thanksgiving. Definitely before, I would say by like Tuesday because Thanksgiving always falls on that Thursday. And so by Tuesday, everything's done. We've already done our Christmas shopping. That's really, really important. And then 3, what I like to do is I take care of the must-haves that we have for our holiday tradition. And when I say must-haves, those are the family traditions that me and my husband have instilled for our family and that we do every single year and we don't miss because it's something that we love doing with our family. And that is 1, our Christmas advent calendar. 2, we like to build our gingerbread house, and that comes in different forms, and I'll explain that later. 3 is our Christmas Eve box. That's something that we enjoy doing. And then 4 is setting up our Christmas tree. And then 5 is our family Christmas ornament that we always purchase December 1st. And a new family tradition that we've actually added last year was a month-long thing that us as a family can do together. And last year it looked like a Lego build. So last year we did the Home Alone house. And Legos is something that we all enjoy, especially when the kids were younger. But honestly, I don't think it's been a very long time since I actually built with Legos. And so surprisingly, I really, really enjoyed that process and that thing that we did last year. And like I mentioned, we did the Home Alone house. And so what we did was on December 1, we put the whole build, all the Legos on the dining room table, and we start building it. And we don't build it all in one day. We kind of take turns, or when the mood strikes, we'll go to the dining table, start building, the sections. We go in order, and then by December 24th, it should be done. That's kind of our timeline. And we did that last year. It was super, super fun. It was something that we all did, and sometimes we didn't do it together. Sometimes we did it by ourselves when we passed by the dining room table, and we saw it, we're like, ooh, this is something I want to do. So it was just really, really fun and relaxing way. And so we're going to do that this year, and I'll show you what we're going to do for this year. But so those are the 6 items that we make sure that we include in our holiday planning. And then we just sprinkle in different things here and there based on what's available, our budget, our mood, and so forth. So this system for us allows us to have certain things, like strict on certain things, but also flexibility on other things. The next thing that we do is we talk about our menus for the holidays. And for us, we talk about Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. Now, I know I kind of skipped over Halloween, but Halloween's super simple. We like to pass out candy. So the only thing that we actually talk about during that time is our budget and how much candy that we are going to purchase, and if we're going to dress up. And this year I actually dressed up, which was super, super fun. So that's something that I'm going to put in my recap of holidays and see if I will have that being done for next year. It just depends on if I feel like it. Now, and so once we figure out our menu, we write it down in our planner, and then we start, buying the ingredients that we need. I think most importantly for us is that we have the menu down so we can purchase, because obviously we can't really purchase the food in advance. That's usually the day before or the day of, or whatever the case may be. And so just planning and getting our menus done out of the way and knowing what we're going to do, that's like the next step that we do. After we do that, the next thing that we do is we plan our gifts. Me and my husband kind of talk about, okay, what are we going to get for the kids? And then this is where it's a little bit more intentional, obviously, because we're going to talk about what they're into, what they need. And for Christmas, for us, what it always looks like is, obviously it looked a little bit different when the kids were younger. Man, all the toys, all the unnecessary things. But I think as me and my husband got older and our kids got older, and we just kind of tightened up when it comes to Christmas gifts. And so now we just limit to what they need, you know, and we focus on our Christmas Advent activities. And so usually for Christmas gifts, we get them one thing that they need, and snacks and money. Super easy. It's not so hard. And so usually we just write down, okay, this is what we're going to get for them. And I'll actually show you some examples. And I have to whisper because I'm filming this on a weekend where my kids are at home. So I'm hoping they won't hear me. But so when we're talking about gifts, I'll go ahead and show you some of the gifts that I've already started now. Hopefully you can hear me. I'm literally whispering in my mic. But for one of our kids, we've noticed that he's really, really into art. And so I decided to create a little art kit for him. And I'm going to show you some of the items that I got from him. A lot of these items I got from our local art supply, and some I just got from Amazon because they were just better prices. Okay, let me show you. Here is what I got. Now, I kind of started really slow for him because I want to see what he decides that he likes. So hopefully you can hear me. I'm still whispering because our house echoes and I'm pretty sure he can hear me. But I'm going to show you, and I'm just going to probably like list what it is so I don't say it out loud. Okay, there's that. I'm just going to list what it was on the screen because I don't want to say it because, you know, but this is one thing that I'm super, and then I'm going to also add some Blackwing pencils because I have some Blackwing pencils to give them. But this is the one thing that I absolutely loved. And I actually got this on Amazon, and I could have totally made this for him, but I've learned that I have to delegate my time, and sometimes that means I have to purchase versus make, and that's okay. I feel like it's just the thought that counts. But look at this beautiful pen roll. I found this on Amazon. It's made out of full grain leather, and I feel like this is something that will grow with him and it will patina with him, and it holds what he'll need. And I can just imagine him like during the day or whatever, he has a sketchbook and he has his little pen roll and he's drawing, and that he'll have this for many years as he grows old and gets older. I'm so excited. I'm still whispering. Hopefully you can hear me. But this is a beautiful little pen roll that I can't wait for him to see. Okay, I'm going to stop whispering and we'll go into the next thing that I'm going to talk about. Okay. The next thing that I do want to talk about, besides the gifts, is one thing that I like to do for myself, and it benefits everybody in the family, is that I like to purchase a recipe book each year to add to my collection, because I've mentioned this in a lot of my videos, is that I do enjoy cooking and I enjoy learning how to cook, and I'm always looking for different recipes, and I do love recipe books, like hardcover beautiful recipe books. Something about a recipe book, I don't know, it feels like home to me, and so that's something that I do enjoy doing, and so that's something that I purchase every single year. And I did purchase a few, and I'll share that with you. And usually I like to purchase 1 to 3 cooking books. This year I did 3, and these are the cooking books that I found that I thought I would love to have. This is Sweet Tooth, and I love baking, and so I don't know, they had beautiful pictures, and I love the hard book cover. I'm not familiar with this person, so learning something new. And then I also got this one. This is called Flavor. I don't ever know how to pronounce this name, but this is the first time I was introduced to this person, and so I wanted to get the recipe book, and I honestly can't wait for that. And another one is this book right here called The Perfect Loaf. Now, I have been wanting to, and this year I've actually been baking bread and making rolls and stuff like that, but I want to continue. And so this is the second recipe book that I got for breads. The other one is called Bread, B-R-E-D, which is mostly like sourdough, but I'm going to get into sourdough. It's a little bit intimidating for me right now, but I will get into it. But so I got this, and so that's one thing that I like to get for the family. For myself is new recipe books. So that's, I guess, is a family tradition that I've been doing for a while, now that I think about it. Now, the main thing that's really, really important for us is our Christmas Advent calendar activities. And what I like to do is we do have a beautiful leather Christmas Advent that I purchased maybe like 6 years ago, but prior to that was a fabric one. Prior to that one was one that I made, but it wasn't big enough. And so, but this one we've used year after year. And so what I like to do, it has pockets in it. I don't have it with me, but I will insert a photo of what it looked like. I like that it has pockets in it, but it's small enough to put like our cards in for the Christmas Eve activity. And it allows me to put treats in there if that is what we're doing, and so forth. And so what we like to do for our Christmas activities, and like I had shown you, and me and my husband are actually going to go and talk about that, and then we're going to plan that out, and we are going to list it in our Christmas here for this year. Last year it was here. So we're going to use this as a reference to kind of get ideas. But what I also do is I have my cards. I made this little box. This actually had, I forgot what it was, but I kept it. And this is what I use to house the cards, the different activities that we do, and just kind of give you some ideas. But these are just some of the activities that we like to do. And I like to keep it in this card form because it's just easier for us to pick out. So I'm just going to go through each one. And obviously this one is always going to be on December 1. And this is always going to be on December 24th. And so these are just little activities, and that's one thing that we try to focus on. And it's super important for us is just activities to do with the family. And then last year we did a lot of family game nights, which required a lot of prizes. And we're actually going to do the same thing this year. We're going to do family game nights, and it's going to involve prizes, but I think we're going to change out prizes because before it was like little knickknacks and they don't really use it. So this time it's just going to be all food because our kids love snacks. And so that's one thing that me and my husband are going to plan out and decide what games that we're going to use, because we do have a lot of board games over the years that we've collected. We did introduce a couple new games last year. I think this year we are not adding new games. We're just going to use the games that we currently have. And then there are some games I do want to do, like Deal or No Deal, or like the Survivor auction game. I want to do that so badly. So that's something that me and my husband are going to plan. It's going to be super, super fun. But yeah, so these are some of the activities that we like to do. And so these are what we like to fill our advent calendar along with, everything else. And again, like I said, we're going to be adding that to this monthly page, and then we're going to look at that. So I'm super, super excited. And talking about advent calendars, this is something that I'm super, super excited about. And so every year when we had our old Etsy shop, we always had some kind of advent countdown. And for the last few years, we didn't have one because we didn't have an Etsy shop. And I was itching to do one this year. And I was trying to figure out, okay, what are we going to do for that? And I'm going to show you what I actually did one year for our one of our Etsy shops. Is what I created a mini advent calendar that housed like a lot of like mini ephemera and stickers, and I sold that. Now this was a lot of hard work because it was just a lot trying to gather all the what to fill in these advent calendars. And so for this year, we wanted to focus on, I guess, something super simple and just something to remind you, to just enjoy the day as it is. No frou-frous, no nothing, no gifts, no nothing, just being alive and just the countdown of leading up to Christmas. And so with that in mind, we decided to create a little, and of course, being true to the Tiny Planner Studio, it had to be tiny and it had to be something that you could use for your planner journal. And so I will show you what we came up with, and I absolutely love it so much. Okay. And this is what we came up with. Here we go. These are the tiny advent calendars. I am so they are the freaking cutest thing. Now, I made it this tiny on purpose because I wanted it to be a little decoration that you could put on your traveler's notebook or any notebook that has like an elastic, and it's like right there in front of you that you could sit there and count down the days. Each advent calendar is made out of that paper leather, which is that craft leather or craft paper that is washable, that is flexible. You can't tear it or anything, but I thought this was the perfect medium for that. Now I didn't make it functional like I usually do for my tiny items for our journals, like being able to, hold a pen or something. But this year I just wanted it to be simple and just focus on just the countdown to Christmas, and and to kind of remind you, like, every day, every little thing that's happening in your day is important, and that it's being grateful for just that time. And so this is what we came up with. These are hand stamped, and then you also can mark your days with this charm that it comes with. It's a paper clip charm. That way you can kind of stick the charm in there and it's kind of hanging, and then you just kind of, obviously as the days go by, you move it over. I absolutely love this thing. And then, like I said, it looks so cute on your traveler's notebook. And like I said, it's just to be beautiful on your notebook. And it actually can work as an ornament as well. If you want to hang this on your tree, you can do so. And then after the holidays, this would make a very neat charm holder, which what I intend to do, because I have a lot of charms. I'm going to add all my charms in here. So it's multi-purpose and you can still use it, off the holidays. So I absolutely love this thing. It is the cutest. It's about like 3 inches by like 3.5 inches. Tiny, tiny. And what you get is 5 designs that you can choose from. You have a silver gingerbread, as well as like an antique bronze gingerbread. And then the same thing with the snowflake. You got an antique bronze style and a silver one. And then we have some silver mittens. Now, we were only able to make a few of these. It's a lot of work sewing and cutting tiny things. And so this is made with love, and it is absolutely adorable. And what I love too is that you can actually, on the back, you can personalize it yourself using stamps and a white ink. You'll have it stamped as with the logo, and then just a quote that I have. And then here you could put your name, you can stamp the year, you can put a quote, a note, a small note to if you're gifting somebody these. I feel like these are great little gifts. Now, I know it's like mid-November, so I would recommend, these are all ready to go. And so I would recommend, if you're interested in purchasing it, to go ahead and purchase it now so you can get it prior to December 1st. I think up to the last week of November. If you purchased last week, you might not get it in time for the December 1st, but you still can use it. You'll just probably miss a few days of the countdown. But if you are interested, head over to our link to the Etsy shop, Tiny Planner Studio on Etsy, and grab yourself one. And don't forget to add any other gifts that you might want to get for yourself or for anybody. We still have a few tiny pen totes, and our tiny aprons are there. And then we also have our charms as well. So this will be our last update for 2025. 2026, I'm super excited for what's going to be in store. I can't talk much more about it, but stay tuned for that. But yes, grab yourself a tiny advent calendar because they're so cute. Okay. All right. That was exciting to talk about. So, the advent calendar obviously is something super, super important to us. And that is the advent calendar activities that we like to do and how I like to plan it in my planners. I had mentioned that we did a Lego house build, and last year was Home Alone. This year, and I actually purchased this back in January, and I love houses, and so that's, again, we're going to build a house, and this is what I found. It's kind of really, really big to kind of show you, but this is, I don't know if you can see, it's really big. Let's see. But anyways, it's a house, like a whole street full of houses. And so that is what we're going to do for this year. We're going to have it set up on December 1st and have it on our dining room table. And yeah, it's going to be so much fun. I honestly can't wait. I forgot to mention, for our family traditions is we always do family pajamas. Now, they don't always have to be Christmassy. Sometimes I get joggers and a shirt so they can use throughout the year, and it's not specifically just for Christmas. So or pajamas that are like all green or all red, so we can use it all year round. I think this is the first, no, that's not the first year. It's the first year in a while that I got something Christmassy, and I really wanted to get onesies for all of us. And let me tell you, why are they expensive? Why are onesies expensive? Why are adult onesies expensive? Anyways, I scoured the internet, and I think this is one thing that I love doing early, is because things are still available and they're not getting sold out. But I did find some adult onesies in a buffalo plaid print for $20 each, and that is super affordable for me because they're usually $35 or more. And so usually for family pajamas, we can spend upwards up to $200. And I didn't want to do that. So when I found these for $20 each, I was like, sold. And they're super cute, and they're not so thick because I get hot really quickly, but look how cute. And these are onesies, like onesie joggers or whatever. And you know where I found this out of all places? Petco. So if you're looking for pajamas that are affordable, and you know, Petco, they're $20. So I bought 5. So that is what we're having for our Christmas Eve pajamas. Then while we're talking about those family traditions, one thing too this year that I've learned about myself is that I no longer need to buy any decorations for the house. I literally do not need to. There are 2 things that I usually buy every single year, is because I collected them. Actually, is it 2 things? No, it's actually 1. And it was, no, it's actually 2, sorry. Houses and not gingerbread houses and Christmas trees, little Christmas figurine trees. And so I usually have it displayed on our round foyer table, and it's pretty much full. And so this year I have made the decision that I no longer need to add to that collection anymore. It is filled to the brim when it comes to my Christmas trees. And let me show you an example of what I'm talking about when it comes to Christmas trees are these. Like, I like to decorate. And so I always like to find like really unique Christmas trees. And so these are what I usually find, and I like to collect them. And I think this year I'm okay with not adding any more Christmas trees to my collection. I think I've reached my max, which I guess tells you where I'm at mentally. And then also houses. I love to decorate my house with houses. And so this year I might add a couple of houses, because now I actually decorate a second Christmas tree underneath with houses. And there's still room for more, but so that is on a list of things that I may buy, is another house. Now, last year I had mentioned that we like to use gingerbread houses, and a lot of the time it's a waste of money, because we don't like the gingerbread house, the cookies, and so it always gets thrown away, and I used to hate that. And so last year I had a few of these houses that I use for decoration, but I didn't use it anymore because it's no longer my style. But I had the idea that we can make it look like gingerbread houses. And so that is what we did for our family tradition. When we did build a gingerbread house, we just decorated these houses to make it look like a gingerbread. And so that is what now I use to display for our second Christmas tree. Now, this year I'm actually going to do a gingerbread cake, and then they're going to decorate that. So I'm excited for that family tradition this year. So yeah. And when I say second Christmas tree, the reason why I say second Christmas tree is I had mentioned that every year we like to buy family ornaments. Ever since me and my husband were married, we always bought family ornaments, or ornaments for ourselves. And so for 26 years, every year we've always added an ornament. And when I say ornament, it's an ornament that represents ourselves. So our kids will pick out an ornament that represents them each year. And it's just since 2011, we've always added 7 new ornaments to the tree, because it's 5 of us, plus we do, no, actually 8 ornaments. It's 5 of us. We do a family ornament, and then we do 2 ornaments for our 2 dogs. Our older dog passed away about 5 years ago, 6 years ago. And so now we only have 1 dog. And so we still get ornaments for him to represent him each year. And usually it's either like a reindeer, a polar bear, a sheep, because that's what he reminds us of. And so, so with that said, we've been collecting a lot of ornaments over the years, and so it doesn't fit in our main tree anymore. So last year we actually purchased another tree to fit more ornaments. And so that's the reason why we have a second Christmas tree. And we have still a lot of more space to fill that up. So I'm thinking we won't be needing to add a third Christmas tree for a very long time. But yeah, and so when I say Christmas ornaments, oh my gosh, it's okay. Let me show you an example of what I mean. And so like one year, well, I love French fries. So this was my ornament that I chose for, what year was this? 2022. Yep. And so we like to put our name and then the year. And so it's just one of our things that we do as a family is December 1st, we go out and pick out ornaments for ourselves. This one is my husband's, and this was for 2023. And I think this was the year where he really got into whiskey. And so this was perfect for him at that time. And so this is the ornament that he picked. And so we always display this every single year. So again, one of those things that we love doing as a family. every year that I've done it, I've just kind of learned a little bit more, and I've kind of fine-tuned it each year. You know, it is a learning process, but having this planning, it just helps me be able to kind of hone in my thoughts about the holiday planning and the things that needs to get done, and then being able to do it by a certain time, and it allows me to just be able to enjoy the holidays with my family stress-free, you know, distraction-free, is I think one of the best gifts that I can give myself and to my family and to my husband. I'm pretty sure he feels the same way. So hopefully you love this video, got some ideas, and maybe got some ideas on how to, you know, plan your holiday activities. Maybe you got some inspiration or ideas on what you can start with your family. But if anything, at least get the ball rolling for you and how to start a system. It doesn't have to look like this. Obviously, this is a system that works for me. But start something intentional for yourself, so you can enjoy the holidays and you can do something that doesn't require, that doesn't give you stress, and it kind of prepares you to do the things that you need to do. And so hopefully you learned something from it. If not, you were entertained or got some ideas about the things that we do as a family and the stuff that we purchase for our family. You know, let's talk about it. Let me know in the comments what you guys do for family traditions, because honestly, I am always looking for new things to add to our family traditions. I feel like the holidays is so magical, and it's something that us as a family love doing, you know, especially when we're doing new things. So yeah, let me know in the comments. Do you guys do the same system? Or not, you probably don't do the same system, or maybe something similar, or has this inspired you to, you know, start pre-planning and start doing things before a certain time so you can actually enjoy the holidays? Let's talk about it in the comments, because I absolutely love this subject. It's as you can see, it's something that I live for. It's one of my favorite things to do, and so let's talk about it in the comments. And don't forget to check out Tiny Planner Studio in our Etsy shop, and you know, hopefully maybe you'll keep us in mind when you are shopping for your loved ones. Maybe you can find something that you will love or they will love. Keep us in mind. We absolutely are grateful for all the support that you guys have given us when we launched at the Tiny Planner Studio, and I'm so excited to see where that goes in the future. And we're looking forward to actually kind of the little downtime that we'll have for the rest of the year. So except for, you know, your orders, we're okay with sending out your orders, but everything's all done. Everything's all made, so it's just a matter of just packaging it up and sending it over to you. So we're looking forward to that. And if you made it this far, thank you so much for hanging out with me and listening to me ramble about something that I absolutely love. And I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in the next one.